Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Lennox, Justifier of Innocence, created by Zeus and Demeter to save humanity. I am here as the character Josephine, and with me today is Mr. Buddy the guard dog. Now this week we are continuing Spooky Week, so we are interrupting our regular programming. So for those of you who have been following along, our regular programming will resume after Halloween. For those of you who are new to this channel, this is a fantasy justice channel where superheroes and mythological gods unite in the fight to save humanity, to restore the balance of good and evil. It is designed so that you can listen to it like an audiobook or podcast, or you can watch and enjoy the images, the dramatizations, and the artwork. Some, if not all of the stories, are loosely based on true events, and some of the stories may trigger emotional response, so we did want to forewarn you on that. In today's episode, we are doing the second half of The Haunting of Prescott Street. So if you haven't had a chance to check out the first one, go ahead and do that, and you can follow along easily enough by checking the last video that we posted, and then it will be followed up with this video, and you'll be all caught up. Now make sure you stay to the end so that you find out what's coming up next on this channel and when Mr. Buddy's Halloween Spectacular will be posted. Enjoy the show. We'll see you at the end. After the death of Kitty, the entities didn't hold back. They would mess with every family member. Voices could be heard, objects moving, doors opening. But when it came to the little one, things were on another level. During the nights, she would sleepwalk. Not believing her family, she decided to do a test. She grabbed a pair of socks, pouring baby powder inside of them and wearing them to bed. When she woke in the morning, she was horrified to see footprints in random patterns all over her room floor. And then she noticed a single pair leading toward the door. She quickly got up, changing out of those socks, curious to see where those footprints led. As she opened the door, she seen one pair of footprints leading to the stairs. Down the stairs she went, turning into the living room toward the basement hallway door. She took a deep breath. "Don't be scared. Don't be scared," she repeated in her mind while turning the doorknob. As she stood there, the skinny, rickety door opened on its own. She could hear it asking her to come in. She stepped inside the closet when something made her look at the bottom of the stairs that led to the second floor. Two decaying faces stared back at her. She could see their rotting flesh coming off their bodies as they were telling her not to go down there. She screamed. Dad came running. She told him about the bodies buried beneath the stairs, begging him to cut a hole in the wall to remove them. Of course, he did his best to calm her down, attempting to reassure her that nothing was there. "Just cut a hole, you'll see. You just had another nightmare," he would repeat. That night, Cassie stayed up later than everyone watching a movie. When the movie ended, she went to go up to the stairs in her room, but when she went to do that, she was stopped by the faces beneath the stairs. They were not warning her this time, but they were angry for her not releasing them. Cassie was petrified. So tired, she went back to sit in the corner of the living room on the couch. It was cold in the house. She could hear the wind blowing and the windows rattle, which only added to the eeriness of the night. Trying to muster up the courage to run up those stairs, but they were still there. showing their claw-like fingernails, their gray, decaying skin. Cassie then grabbed a towel from the downstairs bathroom and used it as a blanket to keep herself warm. She curled up in a ball, and with the picture of Jesus that she took off the wall, she hugged it while she slept. Her parents were concerned about her mental state. Her mom confided in Aunt Bessie, but Aunt Bessie had Cassie's back. She said kids are more susceptible because of their innocence. They can see things that we cannot. The following Monday, when she arrived from school, Cassie found the house empty. All right, she thought, excited that nobody was home. She could eat chocolate cookies that she stashed and watch the TV that she wanted. As she sat down in the living room, she noticed that the windows were open. It was a random nice day in midwinter. It hit nearly 70 that day, so the windows were left open to air out the house. She sat down to find something to watch while enjoying her cookies. The house was so quiet. She had momentarily forgotten about the entities, but they soon reminded her. She heard a knocking on the screen in the window behind her. She muted the TV. "Muffy, is that you?" she asked. But there was no answer. Muffy would sometimes come over to get Cassie when she walked her two dogs, and she loved playing pranks, so Cassie just assumed that it was her. Peering out the window, now dark outside, she couldn't really see much, so she went back to watch TV. And then another knock. This time it was more aggressive and followed by a menacing growl. "Muffy, cut it out. It's not funny." Cassie got up, flipping all the lights on outside, but there was no sign of Muffy, no sign of anyone. Her heart began to pound, and then anger filled her. She picked up the phone. It was a wall phone because there were no cell phones back then. Aunt Bessie answered. "Tell Muffy to stop trying to scare me." Aunt Betsy said, "What are you talking about? Muffy is right next to me. She hasn't left the house." Suddenly, the radiator went off. The temp in the house had dropped dramatically. Cassie could see her own breath, and from the corner of her eyes, she could see shadows. And she felt a large presence standing behind her once again, looking down at her. There was a muffling in her ears. She began to feel faint. Aunt Betsy, Muffy, and the dogs ended up busting through the door and grabbing Cassie. She had a crucifix in hand. The dogs were going crazy, barking and growling. The dogs' growls intensified. Aunt Betsy started screaming in Spanish, holding her crucifix. She started to say prayers and told us to go. "Get out of the house. Go!" Holding the crucifix in hand, she stayed behind, saying her prayers, demanding that the demon show itself. Before she left the parents a note. When Aunt Betsy came back to her house with the dogs, they were now very calm. She said, "I'm going to talk to your parents. You cannot be left alone in that house. There's something there, and it wants to take you." The weekend came. Perry, the oldest stepsister, was the only one that came down that weekend. The others were busy with school projects, so Perry, Muffy, and Cassie did what normal dumb preteens did. "You want to play the Ouija board?" "I have a new crush," Perry said. "His name is Jerry Joe." That's a strange name. Speaking of strange names, Dewey-O was the name of the board spirit. I'm going to ask it to give me its number and to let me know if he likes me. The three of them, not thinking, set up the board and they got a glass from the cabinet and began to play. As they played, the basement floor opened up. Demons were escaping through the portal, what could only be presumed as hell. Duo was a nice ghost. They sat around the Ouija board, Perry leading, eager to ask about her crush. Giggles could be heard throughout the house, light laughter, but in the basement, the portals were stewing, opening up wide, letting out wretched creatures and beasts. The girls continued to play, not knowing what was going on. When the glass began to spin out of control, the girls couldn't even keep their hands on it. Duo, what's wrong? The glass stopped. Then it slowly made its way to the D, and then the E. But before it could get to the third letter, the glass shattered into a million pieces. The girls screamed, and then an explosion was heard from downstairs. The kitchen faucet and the handles were blowing off, and water was shooting up to the ceiling. The girls screaming, Perry fell to the floor against the wall, red-faced, gasping for air while clutching her throat, tears streaming down the face. I can't breathe, she muttered as she held her neck. The door to the basement blew open. Muffy looked at Cassie. Her eyes were large and she was shaking in fear. But Cassie no longer felt fear. She felt rage. She was angry, witnessing how this was affecting her friends and her sister. She felt anger for all the sleepless nights, and she was angry for it had taken her kitty. She had enough. She began to scream back at it. I'm not afraid of you. The house shook when a dark, shadowy presence emerged from the basement. Cassie made her way right over to it with her fist up. The creature just looked at her, mocking her. When a light began to glow, it was Duo. She was so beautiful, regal, but she looked translucent and was going in and out, trying to manifest herself. She looked at Cassie and told her to run. As she began to fight with the creature, but he was too powerful for Duo. Just go, she kept yelling at the girls. Cassie swung at the creature, but her fist went right through him. He let out the most devious laugh. Muffy then got an idea. She went into the parents' room, grabbing a Bible and 2 rosaries that were on top of the dresser. Nervously thumbing through the pages of the Bible, she began to recite prayer. Cassie joined her, taking the cross of the rosary toward the creature. He began to back up into the basement, and they followed him down the stairs. But when they got to the bottom, he threw them up against the wall. Cassie got back up, but Muffy did not. Cassie reached for the rosary, praying and commanding the creature to go back. Other creatures began to go back inside the portal, but this one refused. He wanted Cassie's life. The parents then pulled into the driveway, seeing commotion in the house. Thunderclouds appeared only over their home. The house was shaking and the lights were flickering. Call the police, Dad said, as he ran towards the house, but he was thrown back. Mom ran over to Aunt Betsy's. When she answered the door, she said, I need you to call the police. Aunt Betsy looked across the street. The portals were swirling. Cassie was resisting being pulled in. And then she said a prayer, kissed the crucifix, and put it against the skin of the creature. He winced. Back in the hole he went. I will get you when you least expect it. Aunt Betsy shaking her head. She said, no, I'm going to call a priest. You need to call the priest. not the police. The storm clouds were looming over the house. Lights continued to flicker. The house was shaking. Cassie was struggling to get back up the stairs with Muffy. The beast was trying to pull her into the portal. She let Muffy go. "Run!" she yelled. "He wants me, not you." "No, I'm not leaving you. Go get help. Go. Go get help, Muffy." Muffy then hugged Cassie, tears streaming down her face as she ran outside to see that Dad was laying in the bushes, knocked out when he had gotten blown back. Cassie was clinging to the door tread in the entryway on the top of the steps, resisting being pulled in, holding on for dear life. When the faces appeared beneath the stairs, "We told you to help us. Now it's too late." Their faces melted off, leaving just bones and bulging eyes. When the priests arrived, they told everyone to stay outside of the house. They went in running towards the basement, grabbing Cassie, still clinging on for her dear life, helping her to the hallway. "Get out now." They headed down the stairs. "There's 2 portals," Kathy yelled down. "Go! You must get out." The priests began to say their prayers, yelling at Cassie to get out of the house, spraying holy water over the portals. The portals were like tornadoes, pulling everything they could in. The beasts arose and grabbed Cassie before she made it to the outside door, dragging her by the foot through the rising water that was flooding the house. The water went up her nose, causing her to choke as she struggled to break free. With each command by the priest, the beast winced. Having complete hold of Cassie, he jumped back into the portal. Duio followed. The priest kept praying. Louder and louder, they were commanding the beast. Duio fought the beast, causing him to loosen his grip on Cassie. As her hands appeared at the edge of the portal, one of the priests grabbed her and told him to hold on to his cloak as he pulled her out. The portal shut. "Oh no, Duio's in there," Cassie shouted, trying to find the opening to get her out. "Let it be," the priest yelled. The house stopped shaking, and the water began to recede. The dark clouds dissipated, but Cassie kept pleading with the priest. "You must help her. She's a good one." When she heard a voice in her ear, "Don't worry, I was already dead." The priest led her up the stairs, and her whole family was waiting outside. They stayed inside and continued to bless the home. When Cassie stepped outside, it was her family and the entire neighborhood in the driveway. Police, firemen. When she noticed a fireman with an axe, she ran over to him. "Break the wall beneath the stairs. There's people buried there." He looked over at her parents. "Do as I instruct, please." The priests were going room by room. When they found the Ouija board, they quickly gathered it up and headed outside. They explained that this is what opened the portal, and there is still a presence in the house. The firefighters came out. She was right. There's 2 skeletons buried in the wall beneath the stairs. The parents looked at each other and then apologized to Cassie for not believing her. Then they made all the kids promise that they would never play the Ouija board again. A few months passed by and things were back to normal. Well, normal for them. There was still a presence in the house, but it was light. The occasional voice and a door opening here and there. It had turned out that those 2 bodies belonged to a young couple that was said to have disappeared when they couldn't pay their gambling debts to their bookie. Guess he got his revenge another way. It happened near the 1930s. That case is now closed. Cassie was doing her homework. She had a new kitten by her side, and they also got a dog. That dog coincidentally pulled his bed in front of the basement door in the hallway, as if he was guarding it. "We're covered," Cassie thought to herself, preceded by the thought of "I hope Dewey-O's doing okay." She suddenly felt a light breeze with the scent of jasmine, followed by a whisper, "I'm okay, worry not." The kitten looked up, but she was not alarmed by the presence. Cassie smiled. "Take care of yourself, Dewey-O." So that is going to conclude today's episode. If we do have time, we will squeeze in another spooky story, so we will try to get to that. But I'm currently working on finishing off Mr. Buddy's video, and that one's a little bit more intricate in detail, so it takes a little bit more time to complete, but it'll be a lot of fun, along with some new music, so you guys can enjoy it and your kids can enjoy it. Now remember, that one is kid friendly. Make sure that you subscribe and click notifications for Mr. Buddy's channel. His channel is up. It is called Mr. Buddy and Friends, so look for that and subscribe, because I'll eventually only post his videos on his channel. So I will let you know when that happens. In the meantime, I will be posting them here. As soon as there is change to that, I will let you know. I hope that you guys are enjoying it and look forward to that. I'm hoping to get it out in the next few days, obviously before Halloween, so that you guys can all enjoy it with your kids. I hope that you guys have had an amazing week, and if you're having any Halloween events this weekend, please be careful. As always, have fun, but be careful and be safe, and take care of your kids. And as always, God bless. We'll see you in a couple days. Thank you for watching.